Pie in the Sky Media. This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised.
That's the thing.
Stop yelling at me. Stop yelling at me. 3, 2, 1.
Hello,
Criminal Mischief Nation. Welcome back to another bonus episode of Criminal Mischief with Carolyn and Branden. Sorry, I needed to interrupt Carolyn rudely, but she was yelling at me, so I'm sorry you all had to hear that. I didn't deserve it, not 1 second of it. Welcome back. I'm Branden in the Carolyn and Branden, joined by the great Carolyn Osorio, who sometimes is a little overbearing, but...
You can't say that with a straight face. Okay,
I deserved it.
It doesn't work when you can't say it with a straight face. You know this. You're a better manipulator than this, Branden.
I know. How was your week?
It was good. It was good. Yeah. How about you?
I'm back in town.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it good to be home?
It was good. Productive, fruitful trip. So that's good, and back in the LA swing, you know. So yeah, it's all good. Came back and went right to a weekend volleyball tournament, which was not easy. Not easy. I didn't even know what time it was. I'm waking up at 3 in the morning. What the hell's going on? It was crazy. But all good. All good. How's the family?
They're fantastic. We had some sunshine on Friday and Saturday, and so it was amazing because I don't know what it's like at you're in LA, so it's not the same, but like it's the same here where all of a sudden the sun comes out and the little buds are on the trees, and like the camellias are coming out. I don't know if you have those down there, but
no, that's Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold.
I know, and it's so great because we have a bunch of camellias in our yard, and I call my daughter, or I did when she was little, and I still do, Camellia Amelia. I'm like, Camellia Amelia, look and she's a lover of flowers and nature and
oh, really?
everything. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, why does that surprise you?
Well, it seems. Well, because I always think that I know where you've told me you live like in a rural kind of area, but I always think Seattle.
Yeah.
I don't think. But then at the same time, my brother, when he lived in San Francisco, he was a member of SLUG, the San Francisco League of Urban Gardeners, and just this tiny little house in a tiny little maybe 8 by 3 kind of garden thing, and they grew amazing stuff in there, so I guess a botanist can, no pun intended, sprout up anywhere.
Anyway, yes, we
Yeah,
have green thumbs here.
that's great.
And so then everybody starts kicking out their lawnmowers. I was kicking out the lawnmower, and it's like it just was great to be alive, and I freaking did almost the entire thing. I mean, we got a lot of grass,
Yeah,
and then my mom came over and she loves it. She loves it when I build her a campfire. I know it sounds like odd, but
like in the yard, you just have a fire in the yard. What are you, a hobo? You build a fire in your yard?
how can you make fun of having a fire pit? It's a fire pit.
All right, well, that's not a campfire.
It is a campfire. We make s'mores on it. I mean, what are you talking about? How can you ridicule something as simple and wonderful as a most people would be impressed by that.
Hold on.
It was actually a humble brag because it
Let me,
feels good
all right.
whenever I'm doing my TP, and then I got my kindling and I got my bird's nest if
Let
I'm
me
like.
step back. Okay. A fire in a fire pit is lovely and great and very homey. But I always think we said a campfire. I just thought you picked a piece of grass and just threw some sticks down and maybe put a little rock ring around it like you're at a campsite.
I can't believe that we've actually known each other. Like, I think it's going on like definitely 3, if not 4 years.
Four
And you
years. It's
think that
four
I
years.
would sit there and just like bring out like a gas can and like
Okay,
like
that's why it sounded weird.
put a
Okay,
flare in it.
that's why it sounded
Ma,
weird.
come on, Ma, come on over. No, I got the
Well,
whole.
Ma, it's heating up over here.
You know
Bring
what?
that raccoon meat.
No, my mom does this thing though. I don't know if you've seen those commercials where the guy is like trying to train people not to become their parents. Have you
Oh,
seen?
I love them.
I love those commercials.
I am every one of the guys in that commercial.
Oh my gosh.
I am. Oh yeah.
No,
Oh
please
yeah.
tell me that's
About
not
giving
so.
directions about how to build a fi all of that.
Oh my God.
I'm
Okay, okay. Well, my mom is that person.
mhm.
She's like, and she's the whole time she's like, "Hey, I think we need to get some, do you think we need some more logs on the fire?" And she's not getting up, of course. I'm like, is she's getting me back for being such a rascally teenager?
I
I
hope
mean,
so.
it really it, oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
hope so. She
When are
should.
you going to be on my side?
Um,
Anyway,
well, so I love this episode, by the way. I
okay.
love the episode. I love that your perspective on this classic case that kind of redefined or defined the genre that we work in. I think that was a really great idea. Um, and you like what led you to this? You've been
Well,
thinking
when
about it
I
for a
was
while,
in
or
Okay, so when I was in high school, like two of the most influential works on me. Well, actually, I would say three. I loved To Kill a Mockingbird
mm,
and In Cold Blood, and also Stephen King. I think that that writing style of having like really dense and just the style. I feel like it is really what made me want to be a writer, you know?
oh,
And
cool.
so I
Okay.
haven't thought about, I mean, I've thought about it, you know, just because I think it's everything I said in the episode that I just think that there's so many layers to it, and then doing the journalistic piece and then also the beautiful writing that's like horrific too. And it just leaves you um I just love that. I love everything about it. So when I was thinking about doing that, I was like, I would love to read In Cold Blood again, but I'm so busy that I don't always have the time to do the reading that I'd like to do.
Yeah,
So it was
sure.
great. This weekend, I just totally like dove into it, and I hadn't, like I said, I hadn't read it since I was probably like 16 or 17. So it was
Yeah.
like reading it like anew, you know?
So let me ask you, when did you finally fall asleep last night? Because I saw the email was sent to me at like
You know
5:30
what?
this
I
morning.
was just couldn't freaking believe what I had done to myself. Okay. I brought up all the things that I'd done, like the fire, the mowing the lawn, the spending time with kids, the blah,
Mm,
blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh my gosh. And I always think I'm going to get done sooner, you
yeah,
know? And then
yeah.
my husband was like, okay, take a break. I want you to come in and watch 1923 and then you can get back to it. So I was like, okay, because it was like the season
Oh
finale.
gosh, there was a new one last night.
Yeah, it's a
Don't
season
tell
finale.
me.
I'm
Don't
not
wait.
going to
Hold on.
say,
Last night was the season finale.
well, maybe it wasn't last night. I don't know. My husband was out of town, so I can't remember when it was. Anyway, it was the season finale. I don't know if it was last night, but it was really, really good. And obviously White Lotus too.
I didn't
But
watch that either.
I didn't get to watch it either because I was staying up. I got to bed at 3:43. I left my office at 3:43.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
so let's get back to this because I
Okay.
have a confession to make.
I don't know if I'm gonna like
I
this.
knew nothing about this case at all. I never read the book. I never saw the Phil Hoffman movie. None of it. None of it. Yeah.
How could you not have seen the Philip Seymour Hoffman? How
I
I
know.
gotta
I love
go.
Bennett Miller
I
as a
gotta
director. I
I
love
gotta
Phil
go. I
Hoffman.
gotta go. I gotta go.
Yeah, no, I know. It's one of those things, like, and I don't feel bad about it. I was watching, who was I was watching, it was like some, like a Tarantino type. It might have even been Tarantino, where someone said, okay, what are you embarrassed to admit as a director? And he sheepishly admitted that he's never seen Casablanca.
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
like
Okay.
sometimes things just miss me, I
Well,
guess, or
well,
miss me.
good.
Miss
What did you
impact.
think? What did you
Yeah,
think?
um, I was kind of blown away by it, to be honest, about how it unfolded, about who the victims were, about the brutality of it. The shotgun blasts to the head, um, and and I kept thinking about your thing, um, and your treatment of that story, where they cut the guy's private parts off in the desert, and how they were convinced.
It's not my story.
No, no, no. The way that you kind
Okay.
of your angle on it, or what you really kind of focused on, was the confirmation bias, that they believed that there was money in the desert, right? Like
Yeah.
these two guys were convinced that there was a safe in the house.
Yeah.
Okay. No matter
Yeah.
what, that's what they believed. That's what they were hanging their future on. Their future as adventurers in Mexico.
It was
Okay.
so that's the thing. That's what I was realizing when I was like the anchor point of reading it as a teenager as opposed to reading it now. And I don't remember how, I just remember how much it impacted me, but I didn't remember how I specifically felt toward the characters or the
Yeah.
people. And I was so repulsed by Dick and Perry and these men and just their whole like I was just that whole adventure. And I didn't even get to Perry's childhood
Yeah.
and Dick because there just wasn't a place for it and I didn't want to, but just wasn't time. But anyway, what did you think?
So they had the boot prints,
Yeah.
right? And then, in a forensic examination of the one of the photographs showed a second boot print, which was awesome. Okay. Um, but then, just like, again, like, just who they were, right? And like the epitome of like the Jeffersonian gentleman farmer in the Midwest, right? Like wealthy, doing well, but family, daughters off in college, like really living the American dream of post kind of Dust Bowl, post Depression Midwest, right? Like he was doing it.
Yeah.
He had done
Yeah.
it. He had done it.
He'd done it. He'd done
He
it.
had standing in the
Self-made.
community, well respected, great marriage, great dad, great family, like everything. And then and then they just turn up, you know executed, right, like in the home, and there's really no leads. Okay.
Yeah.
So remind me how they got to Dick and Perry. Like, who did they find
So
first?
so basically the Floyd had
Mhm.
turned Dick on. Are you talking about that part? How did they get the names? That's how those names even got brought up
Right.
because of this cellmate who Dick had pumped for
So it was
information when
just
he
a
found out.
jailhouse confession, basically.
Yeah, and then they were able to go and look these guys up, get their jackets, see
Put
who
out
they
the
were,
APB
go. By
nationwide.
then they were in the wind. By then they were in the wind.
Sure, because it was like
So if
six
you think
months
of
later, right? It was 6 months
no, it was
later.
6 weeks. Six
6 weeks,
weeks.
excuse me. 6 weeks
6 weeks.
later. Wow.
Like if they wouldn't, I mean, the fact that they didn't think, and they'd had talked about it in Truman Capote's book, he did talk about it, about how they talked about Floyd briefly, but then they thought he'd be too scared to come forward. But like committing that kind of crime and not thinking that this person that has information, valuable information when you're in prison, isn't going to come forward. It's like, to quote the other guest, dipshittery.
Yeah.
I mean that is the epiphany or epitome of it, right?
Yeah.
So from that thing, but if they would have like gotten rid of those boots, I mean that was the
And
real
instead,
clincher.
they mailed them to themselves. They made
Yeah,
sure they didn't get rid of the boots.
they did it.
They made an
Yeah.
effort to save the boots.
Not only he mailed back like dirty laundry and the boots. of him and I just imagine, him and his buddies like dirty clothes commingled and these
Oh,
boots that
so
are
he's
just like,
kiting checks and using that money to finance like a treasure hunt in Mexico. They go down there, they burn through all that money, they send
yeah,
their dirty shit back, they come back to Vegas, and they
yeah.
get found
They
by
go to
law
like
enforcement.
Florida. They go all over. They like went like 10,000 miles. They just went driving all over the place and they would, just get wasted and like, stay in
So
crappy
I got to
motels
tell you,
and
like you didn't mention this at all, but listening to it, it sounds like at least coming from Perry's point of view that there was some kind of romance going on between these two guys.
you know, that's again looking at it now from the lens of the age that I am now, as opposed to when I was a teenager.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I was really like, what's going on? Which is fine. It's totally fine if something was going on, but
sure. Just
but it was never
Perry seemed really thirsty, to be honest.
the I don't know. I
No,
don't
huh?
know if it was that he I could see
Mac, come on, baby. Thank you. Okay.
it's like a big tail.
Exactly what it was.
We're talking about Mac,
Yeah. My
Brandon's
pet sparrow,
rescue.
my house
Yeah.
sparrow. Yes.
So
Um,
so yeah, I mean, I just felt like I don't know what was clinging them together, but I definitely think that um I don't know.
because here's what I didn't get. I mean, I get it. I mean, it was very clear in the story, but what I can't figure out is that Perry didn't seem like the murderer to me. But and it
I
seemed that he
know.
was like the guy that said we're shooting these people in the face.
I think that he was known to fly off into rages,
Mm.
and I think that we'll never know exactly why, because we're not psychiatrists or psychologists, but I feel like the Clutters and their lifestyle and their wholesomeness and their wealth and status and respect, they were like had this power over them and they wanted to destroy them. They wanted to
Wow.
destroy what they couldn't have. And that's just my own like pop psychology because how else do you explain this? They talked about going on the way down there to get some nylons so that they could put it over their heads or some masks because if they would have had that, then they
They
could
wouldn't
have
have had
they
to
could
kill
have
anybody.
they wouldn't have to kill anybody. But they went down there and they said, "We're going to kill any witnesses." Well, why don't you just cover up so you don't have to kill anybody, you
Perry
know?
probably knew that he had a very distinguishing feature with his fucked up legs. That they'd be like, the guy had weird legs and he walked with a limp. So mask or no mask, they'd probably be able to find him again, right?
Yeah, but to be able to actually do that,
Oh,
to not only
that's.
not only pull the trigger on two adults, but
But the
pull the
kids,
trigger on two teens that are just completely just please don't do this. And then he did those other kindnesses, which is like it's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Sorry. Um,
you
I
got
was
there. No,
like,
that's all
what
right.
was that?
You got
I
there. You got there.
I
It's
I
okay.
I
Yeah,
did.
I know.
I was like, it didn't roll off the tongue
I
as
know.
quickly
But
as
hey,
I would have liked, but
okay,
like I haven't thought about that.
you got there.
Anyway, I don't know,
No.
but it was interesting the Truman Capote relationship with these two guys,
Yeah.
and kind of how he really became close, especially with Perry,
Yeah, I was going to
you
say
know.
more with Perry. Just looking at the IMDb, um, I wanted to see who played Perry. Yeah, good actor, Clifton Collins. No, not Clifton Collins. Yeah, it was Clifton
No, it
Collins
was
Jr.
Robert Blake.
No, I'm talking about in the Truman Capote version. I mean, in
Oh,
the
okay.
what's his name? The Phil Hoffman version. Yeah,
Okay,
the
okay.
actor who
Did
played
you
Perry.
have you Okay, so you haven't so there's the first version.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you
And then
haven't
there
seen
were
that.
two competing projects around the time the Phil Hoffman one came out.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, well,
Yeah.
you read the IMDb, so you tell me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
so Phil Hoffman played him in one version and Toby Jones played him in another version.
Oh,
within a year of each other. Hoffman
okay.
won the Oscar for it. Obviously, he's just fucking a genius who died way too young. But
Well, you'll have to watch it. Go
yeah,
go
I will.
do a watch. It's definitely worth it.
I will. I definitely will. Wow. So then, so they get caught, obviously, and
Hmm.
and they both they both roll over like immediately.
I mean, it's like
Immediately.
immediately,
Wow.
immediately. And it's just, they told them, "Oh, we've got a witness." Well, they're very clever because they didn't have an eyewitness. They had Floyd,
Right.
who was not a witness and who they could have said, "Hey, we never had this conversation." But it's like when he said, "We have a witness," and they didn't know because,
Sure.
um, so
But
they
with
believed
Floyd,
it.
like, hold on, did like what I don't understand about the whole Floyd connection is Perry. It's not. Did Perry go to jail for a second and tell?
Yeah, so Perry and Dick shared a cell. That's how they met each other. Okay.
Right.
And then Perry got out of jail before Dick
Right.
that summer, the summer of 59,
Right.
right? So he got out like a month earlier. So I'm assuming at some point he went and, shared the cell with Floyd and they start talking about their lives and shooting the shit. And
Oh,
then
and that
that's,
they're what they're going to do.
yeah, what they're going to
Right.
do.
Okay. That's the part that I forgot. He
Floyd
told
is
them.
what planted the seed.
Yes,
Floyd
of course.
planted the
Okay. No,
seed.
I
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
remember now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He said, "This is what we're going to do when I get out of here. I got a partner and we're going to go to this rich dude's house, this
yeah.
farmer, and he's got 10 grand in a safe and we're going to take it and we're going to go be adventurers in Mexico because I love him and we're going to be together forever."
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But just this like fantasy. It's like a Perry had this thing where they didn't want to work for anything, right? But they wanted to have these lives and he had this fantasy of like being the he played the guitar and the harmonica and he loved to like showcase this guitar and just bring it out at these dive parties and like get these like trinket compliments and just was like dreamed of this bigger thing, but he never wanted to work for it or do any of the things that is required to like make it, you
I'm
know?
sure, I mean, some of that could be explained in his background that you didn't get into. I'm sure he had a pretty fucked up childhood.
He did have a fucked up childhood, there's no question.
Yeah.
But still, there's lots of people who have messed up
Sure.
childhoods that
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 don't
don't
wind
do
up doing
this
this. Absolutely.
and that you and use that as fuel to like get out of it,
Yep.
and I'm not saying that everybody can do that. I'm totally not. I'm just saying in his when I'm reading about him and when you think, he was the type of person who wanted to improve he lamented that his parents never sent him to college, or he was apparently, fairly bright. And, he would read, a dictionary to like, but he could have put himself through school. Like he could
Yeah.
have figured out a way to like, hey, I want to go to school. That it means so much to
There
me.
was
But I
the
think
there was the GI Bill by then. Go join the army for a couple of years, then
well,
go.
and he was in the army. So it was
So
like,
he could have gone to school right there.
I'm
Huh.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I just think that, um, you know, it doesn't make sense.
So um back then they did not fuck around with executions, right? Like you're convicted, you're going. Okay.
We're getting no mercy.
Wow.
None.
Wow. And I realized I learned something today also, besides everything about this case, the difference between hanged and hung.
We learned this a while ago
No,
in the
I
other
was wrong
one.
about it. I had it backwards.
Oh my gosh,
Hanged
what?
is something living, hung is something that was never living.
Okay, well, thank
Like I
God I
hung a
got
shirt
it
in the
right because
closet.
I was remembering our conversation where
Oh,
you
okay, cool.
had, had
Yeah,
looked it
yeah,
up and I was like, yeah, he said because it was like 3 in the morning and I didn't want to look it up and I'm like,
yeah.
wait a
So yeah,
second,
you
let me.
used it right. You used it right. So
Okay.
great.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
yeah.
love stuff like that.
Yeah, so they and then they were buried together. Not together in the
Yeah.
same. I know, not together in the same.
No, but like side by side
Like,
plots.
I know. But can you imagine, the irony of that, where it's like, you because Dick totally like bailed on him. Like when he was having his, because they were in separate cells when they were both thinking about having their escape plan, which I thought was so funny. I had to include that because I was
But
just
there's
like,
more of that confirmation bias,
which
right?
which part?
He thought that two dudes were out there and one nod their head and he writes this whole missive to them. You got to think about it, but I need a 5-inch blade and are you sure you're going to help a total stranger? I'm so
I know, but
happy
it
for you.
was that whole his whole fantasy world of like
Yes,
dreaming of these adventures and then totally doing nothing proactive about it. And then
nothing.
like we're gonna
And
kill
thinking
these
that everything's
people
just going to work out.
and we're gonna kill these people to fund our dreams, right? We're gonna kill four innocent people to fund our dreams.
How long do you think that 10 grand, say it all worked out? How long does that 10 grand last these two dipshits down in
I
Mexico?
would say they would probably end up fighting and killing each other
Yeah,
over the
within a
money.
year, within less than a year, they're broke or one of them's, you know, bleeding out from a knife to the belly around a campfire, right? It's just
The
God, this shit
barrel.
is so stupid. But but it's interesting. Now I really want to read the book because I'd love to see, the mind of Truman Capote kind of like investigate this.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dog-eared and like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. It was a really interesting like kind of, homage to the genre, what you did with this episode. I thought that was super cool. I think people are really gonna like it.
Thank you. I really, books are kind of like music for me. Like when you think about what you were doing, like that time capsule, you know, like
Yeah.
you don't really remember necessarily, like, but you go back and you're like, oh, right. Like I couldn't remember exactly what I was feeling about the characters in this, as I said, but like I just remembered my young self being so excited about it, just like, oh my gosh, devouring it and just being so like I love that feeling when you get a really good book because it's not always easy to find a really, really good book,
No, no,
you know?
I agree. I agree. I love that. Oh my gosh. Well, this was great. Thank you very much for this.
Yeah.
I'm inspired now to well, White Lotus 1923, then In Cold Blood. Okay. That's the order that I'm gonna watch stuff. And I want to read the book.
I want you to too. You
Yeah,
should.
I really do. I'm gonna
I
get it.
think that you would
I'll get it
love
on
it.
my Kindle.
You have a Kindle? You don't like reading the actual.
I love reading the actual. I do.
Hmm.
But I have too many. My wife doesn't let me get any new books. Or if I get one,
Well,
I
can't
have
you
to
just
get
give it away? That- That's what I love doing. I love getting books and then giving them away.
I'm not quite as generous as you are. But I could maybe. But anyway, I want to read it. I'm interested in that time, and again, Capote's brain kind of investigating this. So I'm inspired to do that. So thank you for the episode. It was terrific. If you enjoyed the episode out there, Nation, share it with a friend who you think might also enjoy it, and head over to Apple and rate and review the show. Every little engagement helps. So and please consider supporting the great shows, the great companies that support the show. We couldn't do without. Carolyn, anything you'd like to add?
Nope.
No? All right. Anything coming up
Good to
next
go.
week? You want to tease anything or no? Or no?
We'll just keep you guessing, keep you
All right.
guessing.
Well, thank you again for listening, everybody. And until next time, please stay safe out there.
Bye-bye.
From Pie in the Sky Media, Criminal Mischief is an EVO production, recorded live in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We're produced by Brandon Morgan and myself, music by Soundstripe. For EVO Creative, I'm Carolyn Osorio, your writer and host.